Hello. Good evening. And welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today is Wednesday, December 28th. We've missed y'all a whole lot. First show back since Christmas. Hope everybody had a great Christmas. I hope Santa Claus was really good to everybody, even Lloyd. I know Lloyd doesn't like Christmas. He doesn't like the holidays. That's kind of he's a Scrooge, but he told me he had a really good time this weekend. So I'm happy to hear that. We have a lot to talk about.
I got to go to work.
I'm glad we get to work remote. You
Yeah,
the new 2022 thing. We are winding down into 2022. Obviously, New Year's Eve is coming up this weekend. LSU plays in the bowl game on Monday. We're going to run through these Heineken headlines. We got a lot to talk about. We haven't been here for a while, so we have a lot to catch up on. Newest news of the day, the one I want to start the show off with, is Kayshon Boutte will not be available, is the choice of words that Brian Kelly used when making this announcement for the bowl game on Monday, right? The bowl game is Monday. Yes. That'd be the second.
Yes.
On Monday. He did not give a reason other than to say he just wasn't available, and he is enrolled in classes in the spring, which you can speculate all you want. Nobody knows any of the real reason as to why he isn't playing. I have my assumptions. Jared has his assumptions. Lloyd has his assumptions, and Jack
I feel like we're all on the same page.
Everybody has their assumptions as to why he is not playing. But Brian Kelly has not released that information. It's just another chapter in the book of the 2022 version of Kayshon, right? He is coming back to school. He's going to come. What's that?
The Book of Boutte.
The Book of Boutte. He is coming back to school for his senior season, which was a shock and a surprise that I think nobody would have anticipated. And then he comes out after he makes that announcement that he is not going to be available for the bowl game. So, who knows? We're going to get into that. We're going to ask around. Jacques Doucet is coming on the show at the 7 o'clock hour, early on, I think at 7.
Yes, he's eating right now. He wanted to make sure that he was
able
to have his dinner.
What's that?
He was able to have his dinner. He's eating right now, and he's like, it's in an hour, right? I'm like, yes.
Oh, yeah,
You're fine. You're fine.
I thought you said he was actually eating dinner like in the waiting room.
That would be awesome.
I'm like, well, that's I respect.
It's very generous.
Yeah, I respect the gumption and the preparedness to come on the show. But he is going to come in at 7. We're going to have a conversation about him. We'll ask him some of these questions about what he's seeing, what the vibe is like out there in Orlando. Before him, though, Chris Branch will be on the show at 6:20. Chris Branch is a national writer for The Athletic. Went to LSU, resides in New Orleans. He's going to talk about the Saints, talk about a little about NFL, talk about if the Tom Brady, Sean Payton potential marriage is actually real or if it's just a fantasy. I think the Sean Payton side of it is real. Is the Tom Brady side of it real? Who knows? We're about to find out. And is it something that we should do? Is it something the Saints should do? Sign Tom Brady. Listen, anytime you can sign Tom Brady, obviously that is, even at 45, 46 years old, Tom Brady is a commodity and something that you would sign. But is it something that the Saints want to do as far as building their future? Now, if Sean's the head coach and he has him coming back, maybe there's obviously a plan. Maybe they have a young guy behind him. Who knows? We're going to get into that with Chris. He's going to have more of the answers than we have. We're going to ask him all of our questions that we have. If you have any questions, please throw them into the chat. We will ask him. If you have any questions for Jacques, we will ask Jacques. If you have any questions for us, throw it in there. Ask us the questions because we've missed y'all. We haven't been here. We want to interact. We want to do our things. Saints have a very small, minuscule chance of still making the playoffs. They have to win the next 2 games. They're playing the number 1 team in the NFL, which is the Philadelphia Eagles, and they need the Bucs to lose both games. Obviously, the Bucs winning this past weekend at the buzzer again hurt our chances. Tom, look, the Bucs haven't been very good, but you give Tom an opportunity at the end of the game, he's going to do what Tom Brady does, and he's going to win the games. He has done the things that the Saints have not done, closeout games. He has done it. Their defense keeps them close. Our defense keeps us close. The difference is they have the best quarterback of all time on their side. The Saints have the Red Rifle, and he hasn't played terrible this year, but we haven't made the winning plays to win the games, and so that's the difference. LSU basketball starts SEC play tonight at home, 8 o'clock. On ESPN
The Deuce?
2, I think. At 8 o'clock against number 9 Arkansas at home. It's going to be the first real test. They are 12-1. They haven't had a very difficult non-conference schedule. The only loss they have is to a controversial buzzer beater that wasn't. And, I think that, look, Wake Forest went out and beat Duke last week. They beat Wake Forest. Wake Forest doesn't scare a ton of people, but it's still a Power 5 team. They won. They're 12-1. This is going to be their first real test to a top 10 team who has, had a lot of success in the last 4 or 5 years on the basketball court. I'm excited to watch them play. I want to see how they stack up to the competition. And women's basketball also opens up on the road at Arkansas, which is, they haven't played a tough non-conference. They've blown the doors off everybody they've played. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. And the last thing that we were going to talk about throughout the course of the show, probably not the last. There's probably more other stuff. We may not even get to all this. Who knows? We don't know what happens on the show. We don't really have a schedule, which is something that we're trying to change moving forward. We're trying to be more professional. We're trying to be a little bit more organized. It's very difficult when Lloyd is very ADD. I'm very ADD. Jared has a bunch of thoughts that he wants to talk about. Jack, it's hard to really keep us all.
We got a subscribe button.
Line. We have a subscribe button now. We're working. We're doing some things.
We got a ticker.
The show is going to have a different look going into 2023. We'll have different sponsors, and it's going to be fun. But part of that change is to try to be a little bit more organized for y'all and give y'all more consistent content that you like, and still give us a little bit of our personality. Not let Lloyd derail a lot of the conversations. It's okay. I'm not saying it in a bad thing because I do the same thing.
I'm working on my behavior.
That's part. You told me that. I didn't even bring it up to him. He was the one who told me that.
Big changes in 2020.
But let's get back to the Kayshon thing.
I'm not promising anything.
I want to ask y'all's opinion on this on the Kayshon news. Right? When you first see this and you first hear that, what's your first thing that comes to your mind, Jay?
Like you said, another speed bump. And I don't necessarily mean for him. Now, look, at the end of the day, if the pages turn and we get to 2023 and he shows up and looks like Kayshon of 2021, early 2021 or 2020, or back 3 games of 2020, I don't really think there's much of a conversation to have. But in the event that that's not the case, this is just another bullet point on the long list of things that make you question what in the hell is going on with him. And so for me, it just sounds like there's a lot of maturation that has to be done from now until the start of next year through the season next year for him to be the player that we thought he was going to be this year and going forward, really.
I agree. I mean, it's speculation. We don't know for fact, so I don't want to say what I think is the reason why he's not playing.
And I'll say this too, for what you think and what I think it is, which I don't really feel at liberty to just throw it out there because we don't know, so I'm just not going to really say it, right? But for what I think it is, I've heard of that situation a ton. I just haven't really heard of it in a situation where that player actually still comes back the next year, right? Like that usually is I'm doing this and I'm taking care of what it is that I need to take care of off and on the field because coming back for another one is not a thing.
Right, and I think that obviously him being enrolled and him not playing, this has no effect on him playing next year. Like he hasn't changed his mind.
I think it's fine for next year.
He's still going to be here. He's still going to be here playing next year. His decision has already been made. This does not affect. This isn't because he's having a change of heart. Yeah. It's I think there's some other factors that come into it, but we don't know. And if Brian Kelly feels inclined to talk about it and tell us, then that's great. If not, then we move on. Another big part of news of LSU football before we get to Chris Branch, who is coming on in 8 minutes to talk Saints. I want to talk a little bit of LSU, get to the Saints, and we're going to go back to LSU after. Outside of the news of Kayshon, the biggest news of the football season or the offseason, bowl preparation season, is Jaden Daniels announcing he's coming back to LSU for another season to finish off, his career and to grow from what we saw this year, right? So obviously, a lot of mixed emotions from
Everyone.
the fans, from
Right,
Twitter,
right.
from football minds, from analysts, saying like, hey, he wasn't a draft guy this year. We liked a lot of his things. He was a very highly touted recruit coming out of California. He was, I think, the number 35th overall player in that recruiting class. So he's talented. He's always been talented.
Right.
I think this year was a really good year for him to improve as a quarterback.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens next year. I think that it's going to be very important for him in his growth as a quarterback to learn how to be a passer, right? And in the way that he needs to be, in the way that he needs to be a passer. Not saying he needs to be the Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning passer, but he needs to learn, he needs to develop as a more consistent passer and reader of the defense than he has been. And I'm not saying he was bad, but to be able to get to the point you need to be, you've got to be better, because he obviously wasn't drafted. It wasn't rated high enough to go into the draft.
For me, it's crazy because I think now look, this may also have a little bit to do with us knowing a lot more about this quarterback room than we do about quarterback rooms across the country. But I would imagine that with the amount of competition, with what you have coming back in that quarterback room and what you're adding to the quarterback room, and at the end of the day, does it matter if the quarterback room's that good? No, because you just need one. But like, it's got to be one of the best quarterback rooms in the country.
You would imagine as far as like talent goes and potential and capabilities.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to keep. You ain't keeping all of them, right? Like,
no. I think Nuss.
No.
I think Nuss will be the guy that leaves.
But it's not even about keeping all of them, because if one of them were to leave, which is, I think, I'm not gonna speak on it, because let's just let the people make their decisions, right? Now, I don't want to really put that out there in the universe. I don't think you keep them all, but then what you do have coming in, right? Kind of like, I would imagine talent-wise for a young kid, it's got to look pretty good too. He ain't gonna play this year, but there is a freshman with a 4-star coming in.
Yeah, Ricky Collins.
Yeah,
Right.
4-star
So
coming
there you
in
go.
from Zachary, right? That's where he went to high school?
No. Yeah,
Woodlawn.
yeah.
The other kid went to
Right.
Zachary. That's
Yeah.
going to Alabama.
Eli Holstein.
Yeah. He
Trader.
was actually at St. Thomas More.
Yeah, so was
Yeah.
ran away from competition.
Ran away from Walker.
Ran away from Walker. Ran away from LSU.
Well,
not gonna be pretty when he comes back here for an LSU Alabama game.
So,
On the bench?
we have a talented guy coming in.
either.
We have a very talented guy coming in 2024.
Right.
And so the quarterback room seems to be developing and evolving, and it's
It's way better than
appearing-
it was last decade.
right. It's appearing to be a strength of our recruiting and the guys
Yeah.
that they have, and they're making it now. We've had a lot of highly rated guys come into LSU in the past and not pan out. Brandon Harris is very highly rated. You had Jared Lee was pretty highly rated. You had a guy named Hayden Reddick who was very highly rated. Nobody even knows who that is, huh?
No chest.
Never played, right? Like
Zach Lee.
Zach Lee was. There's a reason why he didn't play.
Yeah, that's what I'm
He
saying.
didn't-
But
he
it was
didn't come to
another
school,
5-star.
but he wasn't
yeah.
on
Yeah,
campus.
yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you have these guys, so they obviously have to be developed. I think that's what Coach Brian Kelly and Denbrock's strong suit is developing quarterbacks. So we're going to see.
I absolutely love the competition component of what they've created in that room. Like, I think what you're going to see is the best out of each one of those guys, really.
I agree.
With their opportunities that they get. I really do think that.
I agree. Chris is Chris in there?
I sent him the link. Let's
Yep,
see.
that's perfect.
Yes, he is.
There he is.
You want to go to break real quick and then bring him back?
Yeah, we're
I have
going
audio.
to.
If you want to go straight to him, or we can go to break. Up
Let's
to
go.
you.
Let's take a little bit of a break, to get him situated, and then we're gonna get back. You're watching Mik'd Up. We will be back in 30 seconds with Chris Branch. We'll have all your Saints questions and answers, hopefully, with Chris, and we'll talk about the NFL and just talk about see what he's been up to. We'll be back in 30 seconds. You're watching Mik'd Up. Today's show is brought to you by Dos Equis. Here in Louisiana, we like to have a great time. If you're looking to be the life of the tailgate, check out Dos Equis mini kegs. Hold 16 beers, easy to tap, easy to pour, easy to chill. Check it out. Become a life of the party. You're welcome. Our What's for Lunch segment is brought to you by Doe's Eat Place. Maybe the best burger in town. If you're not looking for lunch, you're looking for dinner, go check out Doe's Eat Place. They have unbelievable choice of meats. They have unbelievable tamales. They have a great atmosphere, great vibes. If you're looking for a homey Louisiana type of atmosphere, but you're looking for high quality food.
Yeah, can you hear
Doe's
me?
Eat Place is your spot. Go in the back bar, sit at the bar, have a couple drinks, watch some games, Enjoy the atmosphere. Enjoy the vibes. Check out Dozy Place, the best place in Baton Rouge to get your meats. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We are excited to have this next conversation with our next guest. Chris Branch, staff writer from The Athletic, currently resides in New Orleans. He has a pulse of the city. He has a pulse of the Saints. He hopefully
has the pulse of Tom Brady.
Hopefully can give us a little bit of hope and some good news about what the future holds. I don't want to ask too much about the playoffs because it's a very slim chance, but we'll have those conversations. We'll have those questions asked. Chris, man, thank you for joining the show. Excited to have you on the show, and I'm hoping that you have a lot of positive news for us.
I don't know if I have a lot of positive news, but it is fun to think about. And, thank you guys for having me on. This is pretty cool. Good to be with y'all. Yeah, what a rumor, right?
I mean, I hope it's more than a rumor. I hope it's, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think the Sean Payton thing has been talked about for a while, right? And I think earlier in the season it was, hey, what would happen if Sean decides to come back? Because the Saints he's still under contract with New Orleans. And that was kind of like an idea, and that was fun to think about. And then he came out and kind of stirred the pot a little bit, saying that the Saints would be number one on his list. The article came out about him. This is the destination that he wants to be. And then all of a sudden this Tom Brady stuff happens, and now they're linked together again for the second time. What are some of the rumors that you're hearing, and are these moving from the rumor mill to, oh, this shit could be kind of real?
I think it's way too early to say this shit could be real, sadly. But here's the thing to take away from this is that the Saints will benefit from this no matter what happens. If Sean Payton's saying the Saints are my number one spot, then any other team that wants him is going to up that offer. And the Saints, as we all know, need draft assets. That top 10 pick that could be their top 15 if they don't make the playoffs belongs to the Eagles in a trade last year. So the Saints desperately need this draft capital. So if you're another team and you really want Sean Payton and he's like, maybe I want to stay in New Orleans actually, and New Orleans is like, yeah, maybe I'll keep him. Maybe we'll put 2 first-round picks in that trade with New Orleans instead of 1, or a better player, So I think it's a win-win if you're a Saints fan because, A, if that's true, which I am going to cast a lot of doubt because it's so early that this came out. I mean, the Bucs are going to probably make the playoffs. The Saints might make the playoffs. Who knows? But I just think it's a little too early in the news cycle for this to actually come to fruition. Now, of course, you could record this and put me on freezing cold takes.
Freezing cold takes.
No way.
Takes exposed.
But I'm just saying, it feels a little too early. It feels a little fishy. I do think it's real that Sean would want to come back, though. If you look around the landscape, I don't know what other situation he'd want to go to. I mean, Denver's open. I don't know if any coach wants to touch that is experienced and knows
I
the
think
game.
Russell Wilson's pushing everybody away from them.
I mean, and they owe the whole franchise to Russell Wilson right now. I don't even know how you get out of that besides paying him $200 million to go away, which I don't think anybody can do that no matter how rich they are. So, I mean, I think it's a possibility. They were linked before. Clearly they have a good relationship. And clearly the best quarterback to ever play the game values Sean Payton's intellect and coaching. So never say never. I'm going to wait and see what happens. I think it would be more likely that Payton comes back, though.
Yeah, and
I could see that.
I agree because, the 2 other teams that people were talking about Sean leaving the Saints are going to were obviously Dallas. That's been the rumor everywhere. He lives in Dallas. He's coached under Dallas. There's a lot of history with him in Dallas. They're not going to get rid of McCarthy. They're one of the best teams in the NFC. They're not going anywhere. He's going to be there. That job's not going to be open. And the other job was in LA, and that job obviously is not going anywhere because they're going to make the playoffs, and that job is safe. So the only he talked about being comfortable and having the autonomy to do what he wants to do and bring the guys in that he wants to bring in. The really only other team that he's comfortable with is New Orleans. So I said it
Right.
3.5 months ago. Now, my prediction 3.5 months ago was Sean's going to come back out of retirement and he's going to sign Lamar Jackson in free agency. That was what I said. And, obviously that's very still far-fetched, but the fact that he
It
has
still can happen.
it 100% because he's not coming back without a quarterback. Correct? Like if he's going to come back, it's going to be, hey, I'm going to bring my guy in. We're going to do our things. We're going to assemble the staff. Is that kind of what you're hearing? Like he kind of has in mind of who he wants or what he wants to bring in, or is that just, obvious?
I'm sure he does. Sean is cagey. I'm not going to profess to know what his mind thinks, but here's the thing. If you look at the Saints right now, especially over the last few weeks, it's so tempting to say if they had a quarterback, man. I mean, how many football games this year have they been in where they had a one-score lead late and it crumbled, and they had a chance to go up 2 scores? I mean, Sean Payton, if he's looking at it, and I don't think this is true, but he could look at this team and says, this could be a 10 or 11 win team if I'm the coach and I have a better quarterback who wants to be with me. So you could talk yourself into that if you're Sean Payton and saying, why don't I just come back here for a last
Well, look what he did last year. Well, with no quarterback and no wide receivers, they went 9-8. Like a way worse team on paper last year, and they had a winning record.
And clearly, free agent quarterbacks are going to want to play for Payton. I mean, take Tom Brady off the table. Anybody who's available is probably going to put New Orleans at the top of their list of where they want to go. I mean, this is not going to be fun, but if you want a super realistic option that isn't this nuclear thing, it's Sean Payton comes back, trades for Derek Carr, and we roll with Derek Carr.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I know what you're saying. I get it. I get it. I'm just saying he's clearly available. You saw he got benched, and the reason he's getting benched is because they don't want him hurt for when they trade him. They want to move on, whatever.
Are they going to be able to trade him, though? Because he's got a lot. He's got, what, $40-50 million attached to him?
They'll have to eat some of that.
They will. He's right. They'll eat some of that because they want to move on. So they're in a bad spot with him contractually, negotiation-wise. And Sean Payton thought that he could make Taysom Hill into a starting quarterback in the NFL. Sean Payton is a QB whisperer. He probably thinks that he could do something with Derek Carr.
Well, he likes those BYU guys. What about going get Zach Wilson to work behind Tom Brady for the year?
These are all terrible.
I'm just joking.
Options.
I'm joking.
If y'all bring up them 2 names again, I'm walking out.
I'm joking. I do not want that.
Oh no.
We can't pretend that Zach Wilson is on the same plane as Derek Carr. Don't say that.
You're right. I was just joking.
I would take Derek Carr. I would take Derek Carr every day over Zach Wilson.
Oh yeah. I mean, 100%.
Who would you take, Baker Mayfield or Zach Wilson?
Baker Mayfield, 1,000%.
I would too. I mean,
really?
Jared's not a Baker Mayfield fan.
Ugh.
I'm not either. But
He's balling right now.
They both make me want to throw in my shoe.
You put me in a corner there. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad options.
You put me in a corner there, I'm staying in the corner.
I wanted to ask I think you mentioned something that was kind of interesting in terms of it may be early for what Sean Payton is doing and how the story is kind of matriculated out into the ether. But is this something that he is actually doing to try to help the Saints a little bit in terms of trying to get more draft capital, even if it's not like him coming to the Saints, but if him just feigning interest in the Saints, like you said, brings in the possibility of, well, now you have to offer more.
You're right. I don't think it is very on purpose that Sean, and I'm not going to attribute this to him, but that news leaked out that Sean had the Saints as number 1. I mean, this has been matriculating for a while. That's not an accident. I can just tell you that reading tea leaves and knowing how the game goes. So if that's coming from Sean, and it seems like it is, then he's either helping the Saints or helping himself. I mean, like I said, I don't know where else he goes. I mean, if the Chargers don't open, I'm sure he is salivating over Justin Hebert. I say Hebert. His name is Herbert. But I'm from the South. So,
that's right. You're from the South. I do respect that.
He would be Hebert if he came to New Orleans.
I know I'm with my people here, so I can say Hebert instead of Herbert. That's it. But anyway, I mean, I don't know where else you go unless somebody gets blown out in the playoffs, has a good quarterback, and some owner gets fed up and fires the guy.
That makes me point towards Dallas, right?
Well, no. To me,
Exactly.
you literally just said the one. I think that's really the only
What about Indianapolis?
Oh, no, they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean, Jim Irsay obviously is going to go do whatever he needs to do to go get the guy. So like that's. I'm not saying it's an attractive destination, but
I just don't think that's the one. I think the other real opportunity or real possibility is a bad performance loss in the playoffs by that Chargers team. I think I've been saying this from the start. I think they're the dark horse in this thing, and I think they're the other possibility. But my question to you is I won't ask you who, because obviously we don't know and it's really early. But Sean's brought up the scenario of being ready to coach this year or next year, which to me sounds like you're ready to coach like
today.
This year coming, right? Do you think he's on the sideline coaching this year coming, or do you think it's going to take another year for him to be there?
I think it's next year. Next football season, he's there. He's laying the foundation. I mean, Sean doesn't seem like a guy that wants to wait around another year. I mean, he really did take a media job. I know he had a media job, but he hasn't been on that much. He's not around. It doesn't seem like he enjoys that much. I mean, this guy's a junkie, and in the best way for football people. So I don't think he's going to sit around another year.
Well, I can't see it. That's my next question is, I don't know. I'm sure there's a handful of people that know the actual reason, and it could just be as simple as he was exhausted. He had to go through 2 very strenuous years with COVID, and then last year having to go through 4 quarterbacks, and he just kind of needed a reset from football and just had to get away. But do you feel like that is the actual reason, or do you think that there are some underlying things that were going on that made him say, I need to take a step back, I need to remove myself from the New Orleans
in
Saints?
particular? Yeah.
I think he was mostly telling the truth there. I can see that he's been here a long time. He was, through all the ups and downs. He probably looked at the outlook last year and said, I don't know, man. And then this year happens, and the NFC South is garbage. Mm-hmm. He sees, let me get a quarterback in New Orleans, and I'm making the playoffs as maybe a 2 or 3 seed at worst next year. I mean, that changes your outlook a lot because
he's got Chris Olave, he's got weapons now on the outside. Like,
you just feel bad for Dennis Allen, who feels like a dead man walking when he's in playoff contention. But I don't know. That's the game, right?
Yeah. So you brought up Dennis Allen. How do they navigate that? If Drew calls who? I mean, if Drew. Shit, maybe he brings.
Wait, who?
Maybe he brings back Drew as a quarterback coach.
That shoulder's in the cemetery.
If Sean calls Gail Benson and says, "Hey, I want to come back. Like, I want to coach. If you will have me, I want to come back to New Orleans." How do they navigate that situation? Obviously, if Sean says he's coming back, you have to give him the opportunity to be the head coach, and you have to remove Dennis Allen from that position. But it's just a very unfortunate situation, and he's very well liked, a very nice guy, and people like being around him. But how do you navigate that without looking like an asshole?
I don't think you come out of it not looking like an asshole. I mean, unless you give him the defensive coordinator job back, which
that's what I was going to bring up.
He'd take that. But if you saw the report this week that's clearly, put into motion by Payton's side, that he already had Vic Fangio, who is not coaching this year, but is arguably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. He already has him lined up to be on his staff wherever. So if you already have a defensive coordinator lined up and you want to come back to the Saints, I mean, it's honestly more brutal to a guy that really helped Payton out a lot, over these last however many years he's been defensive coordinator, 5 or 6. I mean, those defenses have been really good under Dennis Allen, and he finally gets a head coaching job. And now you can just say the team hasn't been that great this year. I mean, they didn't get a quarterback. The offense has been largely trash. And it didn't work out, man. This is the NFL. If we win 2 more games, they say NFC South is ours, and you fail to do that, and so sorry. And we also have one of the best coaches in NFL history wanting to come back to where he was great. It's pretty simple, but brutal.
So, same topic. I'm gonna go off the beaten trail a little bit here and kind of jump at you from out of left field. I know you're not gonna see this one coming when I hit you with it.
I'm not telling you.
When we speak about Sean, obviously, this is linked to Tom Brady right now. When you think about Tom Brady, is there another man outside of Jameis Winston that could possibly hate Tom Brady more in this world? I mean, he's basically taking 2 jobs from him. If this really happens, like, is he looking at this saying, like, look at this ghost coming back at me again?
He probably. The thing is that Jameis, from what I gathered, he has been out for a while. Like, the fact that they chose to stick with Dalton, and it's splitting hairs to say who was better. I think that Dalton was better, or has been better. But, like, man, both have not been great.
Right.
It's not great on either side.
Well, one of them had a broken back, too.
Pain.
He did. But he was healthy, and they chose to not even try him again.
So they say.
Oh, you don't believe that?
I mean, broken backs don't get healed in 2 weeks, so I'm not sure he was that healthy.
That's true. They were like, he played with it, he's fine, but he has broken bones in his back.
Right. But, yeah, that's another story here.
It's like the Mike Tyson, I broke my back.
Spinal.
I mean, poor Jameis, but he's going to get another shot somewhere. I mean, Zach Wilson was his third quarterback this year.
Right.
Yeah. But he was also rookie and,
big deal.
They needed to give him some time, but obviously that didn't work.
But when you continue to go down the Sean Payton path, as we kind of have so far, wouldn't you think that there is an avenue where it is, like, there's more to this than we think? Like, are we just misreading it because we're too close to it? Is it almost a scenario where if you're on the outside looking in, it's like, why wouldn't you go back? And I think it points to a situation where Dennis Allen will never be a head coach again. He's 0 for 2, like, he failed 2 times in a row. Why would he not be able to say, like, you say you have to be an asshole, just say, hey, step back and be defensive coordinator?
Yeah, because he has Vic he has the...
I know he has the Fangio idea, but if it works out to where it is in New Orleans, like, would Dennis Allen be on the table?
I think absolutely. It's just up to where Dennis Allen wants it. Or if Sean brings in Fangio and Dennis Allen wants a defensive coordinator job and he says no thanks, that will be brutal and awful. And I mean, I don't know though, but like as a Saints fan, wouldn't you be like, that sounds good to me actually? Like, sorry, Dennis, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's not the problem, but that's what you get with sports, right? Like, it's about winning. And it's about putting together the best staff, right? Just because you like a guy doesn't mean he's the best job. Even though he's done really well for you, maybe there's a guy that's better. I don't know.
Well, and New Orleans is so ingrained in the culture in which they've built that it almost feels like you would be doing something wrong to Dennis Allen. But if you can bring in somebody else and, like, there is an avenue where Sean Payton probably feels like he has to clean house a little bit and get him out of there just to not have almost two voices in the room that were head coaches. But when you continue down that path, Sean Payton and Tom Brady have been almost too aligned for some time. Like, they wanted to go to Miami together. Like, these stories are real. Like, there's a lot of smoke behind what happened in Miami and how it almost got, like, they got caught tampering, pretty much. That's what it feels like.
They got fined.
They did.
They got fined.
They actually did.
Yeah. And so there's obviously an avenue in which both want to be together. Do you feel like that's real as well? Like, wherever Sean Payton goes, he gets Tom Brady?
I think it's a significant possibility. I don't think it's guaranteed, but there's clearly a lot of mutual respect and admiration between those two, which is impressive for both people. Is Tom Brady going to come back for one more year?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do we even do you
sure about that?
Do you even want Tom? Like,
that was my
you do
next
want
question.
Tom, but like, do you want Tom? Like, obviously, if Tom Brady wants to be the quarterback,
You got no better
can't
choice.
say no. But Tom, you're going to get him for 1 year, maybe.
2.
No shot.
The man's married to football now. He changed his entire life for this.
I mean, maybe.
He's also 45.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, but he looks great.
I mean, he's been good this year. Man, if you're a Saints fan, don't you want something a little more exciting for the future? I mean, if you get Tom Brady in with Sean Payton,
Lamar Jackson.
We win it all next year. Lamar Jackson there, yes. But if Tom Brady comes next year, you have to win it all this year or it's a failure.
And you have to get a quarterback of the future behind him. You have to have somebody to be his backup or his third string guy to where they're learning from him that you believe is going to be the guy. Do you agree?
But like, how do they get him?
Right.
If the Saints are bringing Payton back, they still don't have a first-round pick. So either they have to unload somebody on this team that is talented, whether that's Cam Jordan, Alvin Kamara, something like that, to get some draft capital, or you find a third-round quarterback that you really love and you just hit on it, which is hard to do.
But it's also hard to spend that draft capital on a third-round pick on a guy who you know is not going to play on a championship win-now team too.
Absolutely.
So that's the other side of it too. To spend that kind of a pick on someone who you know is not going to play this year is tough.
Yep. Lloyd, you got one?
You're right. And
Got it?
yeah.
No, finish. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I mean, it's just it's hard because, and then to get that first-round draft pick, who are you giving up? I mean, you're making your team worse in the short term to get this future quarterback to play behind a win-now quarterback. Hey, I mean, those guys that front office is arguably the best in the NFL at making things work, but I just don't see it right now.
Kick the shit out that can. It's all the way down the road.
That can is smushed.
But I got a two-parter for you. One would be, do you think Aaron Rodgers would be in play with the Sean Payton? And if you want to go the other way with Sean Payton and Tom Brady, why wouldn't the Bucks hire him?
Great question on the second one. Let me pause on
He ain't
that.
going to the Bucks, Coach.
I think that Rodgers would be in play with that contract. I don't have it in front of me. The contract he just signed will be tough to move, and I mean, maybe he could force his way. I just don't see how Green Bay lets that happen. And after the whole rigmarole last offseason, I really don't see him leaving either.
Yeah,
and they're playing really well. They're playing really well right now, so I don't think he'd leave.
I think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're rolling. But what do you think about the second? What about the second end of Sean Payton going to the Bucks? I mean, why would they not get rid? Obviously, Tom Brady's not happy. Why would they not get rid of?
Yeah.
Who's my guy? Who's coaching there?
Todd Bowles.
Yeah, it does. It felt like Tom Brady forced. Who's my other guy? Bruce Arians out. Sorry.
Sports show.
It feels like Tom Brady forced out Arians to be able to kind of run the team himself, but it hasn't worked out because he's frustrated over there. So that's why it feels like the marriage between Sean Payton and Tom Brady makes sense. But why would they just not get together in Tampa Bay?
I mean, I guess they could. That would imagine Saints fans' feelings when that happens, if it happens. But
the team's not set up. The team's not set up for the future. There, set up for right now.
Tom's out of Tampa.
Like
that offensive
those
side
guys,
of the ball is cooked.
I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Who knows?
I'm with that. I was going to say I'm more fascinated to see if Derek Carr's gone. What does Devontae Adams do? Like, does Green Bay try to get him back somehow, even though he signed that monster deal?
Wouldn't that be outrageous?
Or maybe he comes to the Saints.
What if we do a swap-a-roo with him and Mike Thomas and something else?
Mike Tomlin. Oh.
No, Thomas.
Mike
Thomas.
Michael Thomas.
Oh, Mike Thomas.
Michael Tomlin. Mike Tomlin ain't going nowhere.
You win it
I was
again.
about to say, I hadn't thought about that.
You should.
Yeah.
That's very nice of you.
But when you talk about the Mike,
I can see something with that.
when you talk about the Mike Thomas front, he's the one that's liking tweets on the internet about Sean Payton coming back, and we all thought, with Tom and Sean Payton, we all thought that was the rift in the relationship when you saw Michael Thomas come back, and that's why I think some people do have some varying questions about how Jameis worked with his back and the health, and how the injury staff kind of took care of their team, because Michael Thomas was very public with how he thought he was handled. But then you go and see that he's liking tweets about Sean Payton coming in. So it feels like there's more, almost more smoke to this than it feels like.
Mike is messy, huh? Like, this dude does
love
not
social.
shy away from saying his piece. I mean, on the other side, if we're talking about valuable pieces that the Saints could get draft capital for, Mike Thomas feels like that guy who is somebody could take a flyer on him and be like, we still think he is that number one, best wide receiver in the NFL. And he hasn't played for the Saints in the last 2 years outside of 3 games this year and nothing last year. So the Saints will probably be content to move on from him, get what they can. But the way NFL trades are these days, I mean, I could see that getting maybe a 3rd round pick. A 2nd round pick would be high. I don't think he gets a 1st. And then
what if they just?
He's going to be really good.
What if they just trade him straight up for Devontae and just switch contracts? Because Michael Thomas on a cheaper contract has more years into his contract and give Devontae the other side.
I don't know if that's going to happen, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think so either. All right, I know my last question for me, my last football question for you actually is, and to kind of put a bow on the Sean Payton conversation. Do you feel like this conversation? I mean, this decision is going to be made like immediately following the season, or is this something that's going to drag out a little bit into the offseason? And you would imagine it's this decision is made before the draft, right?
Yes, has to be. I mean, I could see it dragging on through the playoffs and maybe even a little after the Super Bowl, but it can't be longer either way because, I mean, Payton ran the show before, and he's going to run it again where he's going to pick out the people he wants, especially with a quarterback. And if he's bringing a quarterback in, you can't let that linger. You can't let that go. So it should be pretty soon. I mean, we'll see if the Saints somehow make the playoffs. That would be even more awkward if they have to get rid of Doucet on that.
I mean, I would hope so.
All
I'm worried about is they got my combined over/under with LSU Saints by winning last week, and I got it, so I'm good. So it's the only thing that matters. Before I let you go, your prediction on what do you think is going to happen? Do you what's your gut feeling? What's your gut telling you?
I'm going to say that Sean comes back and they trade for Derek Carr, like I said before.
All right.
That seems like the most.
I mean,
thing.
I'm gonna find if that happens. I'm finding your address. I'm egging your house. I'm just letting you know. We're not letting that happen.
I'll be outside with a beer. All right. You just come in, have a beer. We can talk it out.
You covered the Phillies for a little while. How awesome was it? How awesome was it to see them get to the World Series and finally bring postseason baseball back to Philadelphia?
It was really cool. You know, I had some cursed timing there where I graduated LSU in 2012, and I immediately got the job covering the Phillies. So it was they had won 5 straight, and at least
it was your fault. It was your fault.
They went straight down when I got there, and so but I was covering Rollins, Howard, Utley, and they were still good, but it just wasn't working. And I saw like the downfall, and Roy Halladay was there, and Cliff Lee was there. It was really crazy to see. They had moments where that park was rocking. Like one of my first games I covered, Utley came back from his injury, and the first pitch he saw, he hit out right center field, and like the place exploded. And I was like, okay, like this is not the Daily Reveille anymore, and the base of the Hodges Hall. This is really cool, but it was really cool to see that because I still keep up with a lot of people in Philly. I love Philly. It's a great town. It's one of my favorite cities in the country. And like to see all the fun that they had was really cool. I mean, I thought they were going to pull it off, but the Astros are
they're setting themselves up next year. I mean, they're still spinning in free agency. So when the Phillies are good and the Yankees are good and the Red Sox are good and Dodgers are good and all these teams are good, it's good for baseball because it gives you it brings the Cubs it just brings around the entire country.
The Mets are spending the GDP of like an entire continent.
Which you know what? And listen, I didn't want to get into. We're not going to really get in depth in this, but I respect that. Like he is shaking up.
I love it.
He needs it. The baseball needs it. The owners need it. The owners basically announced that they were colluding without saying that they were colluding. And I'm glad that we have a guy who says, "Fuck it, I'm just going to go out and do what I need to do, and I'm going to change everything." And that's what baseball needed.
I'm totally with you, Mikey. And like these owners are so incredibly wealthy, and people say, "Oh, they don't want to spend all this money." It's like they have the money.
Right.
They all have the money. Like and Steve Cohen says, "Well, I don't care. Let's win a World Series. Like I have the money. Let's do it, and let's make that the market value instead of penny pitching and whatever the Rays payroll is going to be this year, or insert other Pirates, whoever."
So and it's hard for me to talk about the Rays because the Rays are successful doing what they do, but like. The A's or the Pirates really are like the highlight. Like, hey, you don't spend any money and you don't develop anybody, so you stink. And when you do develop someone, you trade them out of the way anyway. Right? And here's what happened. You spend all this money, and hey, we're going to spend payroll of this. Our payroll is going to be over the luxury tax. And you go ahead and you win the World Series. You know what that does for you? You make more money because you win the World Series and you have more games and you have ticket sales and you have attention. And that's crazy how that works. You have more success on the field. You make more money off the field. But it's just hard, so nobody wants to do it.
Preaching the choir.
Yep. All right. That's all. I'm off my soapbox. We didn't bring you in to talk baseball. But you have a lot of knowledge in the baseball world, so we'll have you back on during baseball season for sure, and we can talk.
Please do.
We can talk ball for sure. Chris, man, I appreciate you coming on. You're awesome.
Yeah,
you understand the show. And, anytime, man. Anytime you want to come back on, you want to chat it up with us, please do. And then if I'll make sure Jared doesn't find your house if that happens.
No, I'm finding it. I'm finding it. If it happens.
I mean, I'll just text it to you.
Listen, if it doesn't happen, just be on that porch. I might come have a beer with you.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
There you go.
I'm ready.
If you want, I don't know if this helps your work or not, but breaking news: Kayshon is just declared for the NFL draft. So
Wow.
you're welcome for that.
What?
Wait, he really did?
Mm-hmm. He just put it on Twitter after careful thoughts and consideration. I'll be
Wow.
declared for the
Okay, I take back
2023
everything I
NFL
said at the
draft.
beginning of the show.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Has somebody
What?
ever been messier with their just college career?
Oh man, I read somewhere that it was some violation of team rules, which I don't know exactly what that is, but
I was just
have
under
a
the
feeling
assumption
about
that
it.
he didn't pass, and so he was going
Right.
to be
Yeah, grades.
academically ineligible.
Kayshon, he still has the tweet up underneath it of him saying, "I want to come back." You got to delete that and put the new one out. He needs help.
That's wild.
Socially.
Wow.
That is wild.
Wild.
Well, you guys, oh my gosh.
We have a lot
That's
of conver-
fun.
we have a lot more to talk about. Thank you, Kayshon. Make our show a lot easier today. Wow. Well, let us digest that and let us figure out how we want to move on from that conversation.
Yeah.
But Chris, I appreciate you, man. Again, we'll have you on during baseball season, and you're awesome. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right. Wow, he said he's coming back. I literally just said I don't think it has anything to do about. Boy, shows you how much I fucking know. Holy
Kayshon
crap.
is an enigma. He's impossible to read.
What happens? So I don't think it was academically ineligible.
I do. I think it was hard for him to get back on the field.
For next year?
Yeah, he was going to have to
Possibly.
take too many summer
Maybe.
classes and do
Possibly.
like intercession, and he's like, "Fuck that, I'll go to the draft." But he hasn't handled this situation well at all. Like this is.
Listen, this is not going to be good.
All
when
of
he
this
gets
is
in the
going to
draft.
come out
It's
at
a
draft.
terrible
It's going to
look.
come out at draft time. I promise you it will.
Wow. Well, Jacques coming on 11 minutes. So that's, obviously that's priority number one is to get answers on that. I don't know how much he knows. Hopefully he doesn't cancel on us. This is huge news that I'm sure he's going to have to go cover for WAFB.
Yeah, he could cover it with us. Anybody
Yeah.
get a news hit.
That's it. This is great.
Oh, that's crazy. I've never seen anything like this.
Digital's partnered with
recently.
WAFB.
I've never seen anything like that, man.
Did he put the whole like nice backdrop tweet of like?
No. It's just a
No.
tweet. It's just a straight
I
up
didn't
tweet.
even look at it.
With
I'm
with
about
the
to- I'm about
2023
to-
NFL draft in caps. It's a straight up tweet. Which is whatever. It is. But he said, it's pretty funny that the other tweet is still right under it. He hasn't.
Damn.
That was still up there.
What a circus.
I think you might have hit that one on the head, Lloyd. I think we'll probably figure it
doubt.
out or find out. But I think it was a mountain of stuff he probably would have to do over the summer and throughout the spring. And he was like,
I'm not putting
good.
that work in for that.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm out.
That's
Wow.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was what it was at all.
Yeah, I'm sure he found out how much he needed to do to be able to be eligible for the next year, which LSU needs to fucking figure out. Like, who gives a shit?
What?
Well, I'm just saying, as
I think it's more about NCAA qualifications than
Right.
LSU qualifications.
But
Like
see, I
this
don't-
isn't.
yeah.
we can't.
LSU's not the one saying, "Hey, you need this to actually pass this class." Like as far as like the curriculum goes, like this isn't LSU saying, "Oh, you need to make a 3.0." Like that's not how that works.
Oh, JD's here.
Boy, what a. I mean, the fact I know that he's not
You
going
want to go
come,
straight to Jockey? He's in the chat right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
You
we go
ready?
straight to him. I know that he's not going to come before you put him on. Though, I want to say this piece before he gets on the show. He's obviously not going to announce that he's coming back to school. Like that's over. He's obviously going to the draft. So, I will come out and say this. I was being very optimistic, as far as the relationship between him and Brian Kelly goes. Right, like thinking that Brian Kelly is like trying to be vague in some of the explanations on what is going
Trying
on.
his best to help.
And I think now that he is gone, now I know he's he's extremely talented. He's a very good player, and he's an asset to any team. But I'd have to believe that this is like Brian Kelly is sitting back and he is exhaling like, all right, one less distraction I have to deal with. But we can ask Jacques about
Jack
that because
Besh to bring back.
no,
No, it's all right.
All right, you want to bring in?
let's bring him in.
We got JD.
No breaks. We're going straight to him, baby. Jacques, thanks for coming on, man. We got a lot to talk about.
Quick news.
Well,
I thought you were going to cancel on us. We'd have to go outside and start doing like a spot.
What did Michael Scott say? How the turns are tabled or whatever?
How the turntables turned.
Yeah, the fact that I'm appearing on a Mikie Mahtook after covering the great St. Thomas More Cougar at LSU, make diving catches in the outfield and an all-time great. So thanks for having me on.
I appreciate you coming on. I'm supposed to be giving the nice intros. I appreciate that. It's those are some really good times. We had some really good conversations, and I'm glad I'm on this other end of it, and we can have the same types of conversations just in a different forum. You're out there in Orlando. Obviously, they're prepping for the game on Monday, on the 2nd, not Tuesday, on Monday. And Kayshon's announced today that he is not going to be available for the game. He is going to, but he's enrolled in classes. And then 2 minutes ago, he tweets that he is foregoing his senior season, entering the NFL draft. What are you hearing about what the hell is going on?
Well, I got to be honest. I finally took a break today to go downstairs and eat dinner, and so that just happened.
That literally happened. He literally, Kayshon posted from his account maybe not even 2 minutes ago saying that he is entering the NFL draft. So before you knew this, right, before you knew he was going to the draft, what was the explanation, whether it's on air, off air, whether you can disclose it, the explanation of why he wasn't available?
I was hearing speculation. I got a call last night from one of my media friends in New Orleans saying he had heard that Kayshon had not made the trip. I shot video of the team arriving last night. They're staying at a hotel by SeaWorld, and it's a whole mob of people coming in. You try to pay attention to who's there and who's not, but I guess now looking back, I didn't see him. Obviously, I didn't see him.
Great reporting.
I was hearing about grades, maybe, like he didn't.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Taking care of his grades, because he even said on Jordy's show, right, way back when, we don't need to be here any longer than we need to, right? So it just seemed like to me he had made up his mind. 3 years, whatever happens, I'm out of here,
right.
And so we've heard the stories of the past of guys who had awful grades and had no choice but to go pro. But for him to announce he was coming back led me to believe his grades were in order, and so now he's announcing he's going pro. And so, Mikey, the more talented the player, just like perhaps the more, beautiful the person, the more that you put up with, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And so I think that LSU and Brian Kelly inherited Kayshon Boutte. They realized his talent. They tried to make this work. I think that they put up with more than maybe what they wanted to. But, Mikey, a guy being an athlete, unlike myself or Lloyd.
Oh, what the hell? Jacques, we'll line it up right now.
You were on the Menard football team, right? I'm sorry.
And baseball. Hey, 3-time All-Sinball. Come on.
That's right. Ron Grant's High there in Alexandria, right? Jumbo.
I didn't have a lot of competition.
But Mikey, how much drama can you tolerate, like as a teammate and everything?
Well, that's the thing. At some point, you're like, hey, dude, you got to figure your shit out, because at this point, it's a distraction for all of us. I'm tired of answering questions about what you are going to do or what you're not going to do. And I don't want to, I love you, but you need to figure it out, because it's starting to kind of aggravate me, and it's making me answer questions that I don't want to talk about, right? And so my next question to you is along those lines: is have you ever seen something this messy in college, right? This is kind of like a professional type of thing where I want to trade. Okay, no, I don't want to trade, and I do want to trade. I'm not happy here. I haven't really, in my time of being a fan, obviously I haven't covered sports like you have, but I've never seen this.
No, it's certainly a story now of the NIL era. If we go back a year ago at this point, the rumors were starting that he was going to go to Alabama, right? That he was going to get poached. That's when Gordon McKernan steps in, gives the first big NIL deal. So we're like, okay, Kayshon's coming back. Then in May, they announce, we've signed another deal. Kayshon is coming back. And I'm like, well, didn't we do this already? So, that starts that. And then in the spring, right? Coach Kelly's asking about Kayshon. He goes, well, I know his last name, and that's about it. Yep. Meaning he hasn't been around. He's not as engaged as he needs to be. He's got the injury that he's perhaps down in the dumps about. He gets the number 7 jersey, right? So this is a statement where he is supposed to, be carrying on that tradition, and apparently he's not moping anymore. And then the first game of the year was a nightmare, right? Florida State. Yep. The ball whizzes by him. He's not looking for it in the end zone. There's one in the end zone where he can't catch, and throughout the year,
he misses a game. I know he had a baby. He missed the game because of that. Now you can have your opinion, don't it, the babies, but you have a kid. You had it 3 days before the weekend. You would assume that you get to play, but you miss a couple games where you could probably pad your stats. So I didn't mean to cut your time on. I just want to keep adding to it because you're doing a great job of kind of highlighting this whole drama because I love this. You're bringing it back.
Well, yeah, and sorry to go on a history lesson. You asked me to give maybe a different answer. I'm just trying to think back, just going back January of last year, moving forward. The Florida game this year was the first time where he got involved. Like, that was the first drive of the game for LSU. Remember, he caught like the deep pass, and he's coming around and had a big game. And I think that was the game. Now my memory's getting triggered here. Remember after the game in the Swamp, Brian Kelly and Kayshon, I think they had their arms around each other as the team was alma mater. It's like, okay, this is a sign where they're, on the same page and everything. And just to fast forward, I wondered if he had lost his step. Was he gained weight? Was he slower? And then the Georgia game where he catches that ball and cuts the entire defense, it's like, no, it's all still there. And so it's just disappointing, man, when you see the guy that was the guy at the end of 2020 who, broke the SEC receiving record with 308 yards against Ole Miss in Tiger Stadium. The young freshman, the wide-eyed freshman who's having all this great success, and then I don't want to say he got poisoned, but it just got way too dramatic, right? Too much drama, too much of a struggle, and so it's
gonna be. I hope for his sake he goes out and has a great combine. He's able to have these meetings with the NFL teams that he's gonna have. And Jared mentioned this, like that's gonna come up in some of these drafts conversations. So. Obviously you don't want to see somebody fail. You want them to succeed. I hope that he can go out there and, pass these tests and, get drafted, in the second, third, first round, maybe if someone's willing to take a chance and, has success. But it's been a wild ride.
Jack Best tweeted crying emojis. Oh my God. The drama around LSU football right now.
This is unbelievable. Jacques, do you think that this is something the team got on this flight already knowing, or do you think that this is news to them too right now?
Oh, geez. I need to make some phone calls and figure out. I don't know. I mean, if you make an announcement you're coming back, you can't, say you're not coming back. What, is it a week later? When do you say that? December?
We may be talking 2 weeks right here.
I think it was December 8th. It was like 2 days, maybe, or 6th, 5th, right after the SEC championship. So it's been a few weeks, I guess. But
December 5th, he announced he was coming back.
The 5th, yeah.
The 5th. Okay, so it's been 20 days, or almost a month, whatever. So 20 days would be Christmas. That's not correct. I don't know. I don't know about that. I always said like a guy like Jeray Jenkins. It's like, why can't you do it like this guy? Like, he never made a peep and was a leading receiver in touchdowns. Brian Thomas, you never hear a peep out of him. He never does interviews.
Malik Neighbors, you don't really hear anything out of Malik. He goes out there and does his deal. Like, it's just been it's a lot of talented guys with that receiver group, and it's just there's a lot of drama that's going on. And that's
what I kind of wanted to touch on is not only the LSU receiver room where they're going to obviously now it opens up a spot when you see Jack Best tweeting. So it seems like there was some sort of intersection there where Best was leaving because Kayshon was coming back. Now that feels like it's easy to tie together. But if you're Kayshon, this is so messy. If you're trying to go to the draft, you couldn't have done a poorer job of representing yourself whenever you're doing such a good job of trying to represent yourself.
Yeah, I need to watch Mikey's interview with with Besh, I didn't get a chance to see that yet. I mean, that was very disappointing to me. I would have never thought that at the end of last year that a year later he'd be transferring. I mean, he seemed like a guy that was going to play 4 years at LSU, perhaps had a chance to break some receiving records because he was going to catch so many passes and play 4 years. Nobody does that anymore. So I can't believe it's hard to believe that he's gone. I mean, I know why after watching this past year, but that's disappointing.
And
so,
I think if you asked him, he thought that same thing. I'm going to play there for 4 years. I'm going to catch the ball. I'm going to get open. I'm going to get, especially after his freshman year. And I think that obviously probably went into, I say probably, part of why he is moving on is he felt like he had more opportunity at TCU. He didn't want to leave. He made that clear in the interview. Is this is a place that he's always wanted to be, and he's doing the interview with a LSU banner behind him at his house in Lafayette. Like he didn't want to leave. He wanted to be here.
He had an LSU. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had an LSU banner still in his house.
And so it was just a decision that he made for his future, and it's a shame that this comes out after, and whether it would have affected his decision or not, who knows? But you'd have to think that it would have made it a little bit tougher.
Yeah, and they got, obviously they got Shelton Sampson coming in and some other talented wide receivers. And, and then what's the running back situation to be like? I mean, John Emery's here. Saw him getting off the bus. And is this going to be his last game? I mean, I've heard about, Brian Kelly. It's him and John Emery. I mean, it hadn't been like banging heads, but there's been, man, he's worked. To get him up and running every week, it's work, and so do they want him to come back or not? I mean, he obviously, kind of like Kayshon, he's got electric stuff that the other guys don't have. You watch the run at Auburn where they got in the backfield, he breaks away, the Alabama catch and run where he cuts back. He does things that are special, but there's that maintenance,
Well, and that's what leads me to my next question. When you see Derek Davis, who hopped in the transfer portal, and he comes back and is eligible to play in the bowl game for LSU, is that related to John Emery in any way, wherever you have somebody that has been playing running back and it seems like that's where Brian Kelly wants him?
Or is he going to move back to safety? I don't know.
Yeah, good question. I mean, you got, Josh Williams, now that he graduated, has 2 years of eligibility left. Certainly, I've talked about it with you on that show, on Jordy's show, that he's probably the favorite to be number 18 next year. Then you've got, Noah Kane, who does. What's that?
I said 7's available now.
And real quick, this is real off the record, and I just want to say this real quick. Let's stop piling on Jonathan Giles, okay? I know he was
I think, listen, I'm glad you said that because you can't blame Jonathan Giles for getting number 7. You have to blame the staff for giving it to him, who just got here and you didn't know how he was going to be at LSU. That's not on John. Now, I wish he was a better player. I wish he would have lived up to the hype of being number 7, but that's not on him. He didn't request it. It was given to him.
Or did he?
Or maybe
he was a young kid doing his best, and every time 7 comes up, people pile on Jonathan Giles, and it's just like, come on, guys, let's cut the guy a break. He did his best, it didn't work out, whatever. I still remember that. He changed to number 12 at Florida. In 2018, but yeah, that was really real interesting. Real quick, in the spring of 2018, like Braden Fehoko and Jonathan Giles became the faces of the team in LSU spring, and they both came from Texas Tech. They had never played it down for LSU, but
that was crazy.
But anyway, yeah. So it's interesting. I know. And then you got Trey Holly, and then obviously Caleb Jackson coming in from Lee Magnet there at the running back spot. So I would like to see maybe less of a running back by committee and see a guy get the ball 15, 20 times, but I don't know if that happened.
And one more quick one for you. How does this affect Gordon McKernan and the NIL deal? Like, there had to be some sort of plan in place, I would imagine, where he was already signed to come back for his senior year, or how does this impact how NIL works with LSU?
Well, in case you missed the article today or didn't see it, so last week I interviewed. Yeah, you don't read. Last week, we interviewed Gordon, and I asked him. I wasn't sure if he was going to tell me, but I asked him. I said, "How much money did you spend on NIL this year?" And he said, "Originally, I had budgeted $250,000 to $500,000, and I think we spent $750,000 to $1 million on just football NIL, and they signed 15 players. So I think if you do the math, that comes out to like $65,000 a player or something like that. Which you may not sound like that's a ton of money, but when you're in college and all your stuff's getting paid for by LSU football, it's kind of like going to LeBear's and winning 65,000, on the slot, whatever. So Kayshon by far was his biggest client, I believe. I heard rumors about what he had collected, but yeah, I mean that's got to be disappointing to them. I don't want to speak to them, but they're building a brand. I've never been crazy about a human being being called a brand. I always say that you're a human being, not a pair of blue jeans or whatever, sneakers. But when you build your brand, and they're building it around Kayshon, and he does this in the last couple of weeks, I think they may have a little bit of whiplash on that. I don't know, but certainly, a lot of billboards, a lot of commercials. What do you say? Bet. Let's do this. Whatever in the commercials.
Get Gordon, get it done. Bet.
Yeah, so that didn't work out. So I'm sure Gordon and his staff will learn something from this and move forward. And I think they had maybe hoped that they would keep Kayshon there and be viewed positively. And I think they did all they could, but this obviously didn't end the way they would want it, I don't think.
I would have to agree. And obviously Kayshon's it's been so polarizing this year. Obviously he's talented. He's been, the drama, and everybody, likes a good soap opera, and that's kind of what it's felt like it's been throughout the course of the year. But I'm gonna try to the best of our ability to talk about the current guys on the LSU team that are playing in the bowl game, that are in Orlando right now, getting ready to play. Obviously, since the playoffs have started and all, like, the bowl games have lost a little bit of luster. It's a hard job for a head coach and a staff to try to keep these guys up. What is the vibe of the team that you're seeing or feeling around the hotel, around the practice facility? Are they excited to be there? Is it something that they're kind of like locked in, or is it, we're just happy to be here, let's get our gifts and let's go home?
Well, the practice today was closed, so we couldn't go to that. There's going to be an event we can go to tomorrow night. They're going to do a Top Golf event down the road here, so we can go see them at that and shoot video of that. But, Mikey, I mean, it is a 180 from last year. I mean, I was at that Texas Bowl last year in Houston, where, I always joked it was like unsolved mysteries, like who's getting off the bus, who's here, Right. There's Bronte Jones, he's still here. Okay, there's Jake Peets, he's still here. Okay. But then when the 2 deep came out, you had guys in the 2 deep that you didn't, I mean, no offense that I didn't know. Who's Hunter Faust and who are these guys that are like in the 2 deep? And so that game was a complete disaster. Less than 40 scholarship players. We've all said
wide receiver playing quarterback.
Yeah, John Trey back to his lecture days playing quarterback. He did throw 3 in a bowl game.
He did.
But, LSU got smoked in an empty stadium and all that. So this year you got, Jaquelin Roy's not going to be there, Ali Gay, B.J. Ojolari. So your D-line is you lost a lot of people there. I was a little surprised when Jeray Jenkins said he wasn't going to play in the bowl game. I thought he would play, but he's not going to play. But you got a guy like Jay Ward who's going to play, and really you've got most of your wide receivers, even losing Kayshon. You'll have a lot of wide receivers. Your offensive line, right, is intact.
Your quarterback.
Your running back. Yeah, your quarterbacks, obviously, that's both of them.
Right.
So it looks like that they're on board to do this, and I think it's important for them to win the game. I mean, I know a lot of people, I said this on an interview today, I think the one bad thing about 2019 is that it just makes people think that that's the way it's supposed to be all the time, and that's what it could seem like. 2019, that's a good, no, that's like once in a lifetime, perhaps never going to happen again. Even if LSU wins another national championship, it won't be like that. And so I think it's important for LSU when you look at their schedule and it says 2022 and the W's are green and the losses are red L's. You don't need 3 straight red L's going to the. You don't need to go 10-5, Mikey. That's
right.
No,
9-5. 9-5. You don't even get to 10 wins.
Yeah, my bad. 9-5. There's a big difference, in my opinion, between 10-4 and 9-5. You do not want to be 9. So, and then you give the people the opportunity to say, that Alabama win was a fluke, and this was a fluke, and this and that. If you win, you go 10-4, and you kind of attach that to the signing class and the momentum. Yeah. Then I think it's a difference, really. And so I think that they'll be excited. Look, man, as far as weather. I mean, it's going to be like 82 degrees, sunny, no rain. I mean, you can't ask for any better to be excited and run out of the tunnel. It'd be like Fayetteville when they were up there. So,
Come the second, how healthy of a Jaden Daniels do you think will show up that day?
Is that Jared Mitchell?
Oh, you didn't know Jay Mitch? You know Jay Mitchell on the show? He's my co-host.
Are you kidding me?
This man hasn't watched a single shred of content.
I have, but let me do my best Paul Benary impression for you, Jared. Oh, Jared, I'm so embarrassed. I had no idea. There you go.
That's pretty good.
That would definitely make Paul smile. I like that.
I heard about the stories too. You know, look, I'm Matt Clark. I hit 28 home runs. But only 2 runners.
We'll tell you on camera the rest of that conversation.
Real quick, Paul, greatest coach in terms of media relations, always return a call, nicest guy, never turned down a charity event. I mean, he was like made in a factory in terms of like great guy, media person. So anyway, and obviously a very, very, very good coach, great coach. Yeah. But anyway, Jared, what was your question, Jared? I'm sorry.
I said, come the second, how healthy of a Jaden Daniels do you think will actually show up for that game?
Well, Jared, I think he's going to be pretty healthy. I mean, it was not a high ankle sprain, right? I don't know if you've ever had that, who's had that, but that's the thing that never goes away, right? So apparently, I was there covering the Texas A&M game, and he goes down twice, and both times, man, he looks like he's in agonizing pain. He can barely, get off the field. I'm like, man, should they still be playing him? Is he going to be hurt badly? And he played against Georgia, and he passed the ball pretty well, and then he eventually had to leave. But I think he's going to be healthy from everything, that I'm hearing. I think he'll be fine. But obviously, the way things went with Nussmeier in the SEC championship created a whole new discussion in terms of is LSU utilizing their wide receivers to the best of their ability, and is Nussmeier a better option? But at the same time, if you ask me to vote for the team MVP, it's it's Daniels without a doubt.
Well, and that's kind of what I want. That's my next question. Is obviously when he announces that he's not going to the NFL draft, he's returning to LSU for his last year. You had a bunch of mixed emotions from the fans because fans are always extremely reasonable and not emotional, and they have very logical takes on these types of things, right? Like that's kind of what goes on. And so you see that and you're like, well, look, I understand the concerns. I understand you want to see them push the ball down the field more and utilize the receivers more because you saw a little bit of the Georgia, but you also saw a little bit of the recklessness. You saw a little bit of the opportunity of, some of these 50-50 balls could have gone the other way and been interceptions. And you have Jaden who threw for almost at a 70% clip, didn't turn the ball over, and basically took you to almost maybe having a 10-win season on a season where you were projected the over-under was 7 wins, right? So I think him coming back is a boost. What's your take on that? Obviously, anytime you have that type of experience coming back and another year of continuity always helps.
Well, I think when they first got him, Mikey, it was kind of viewed as he was going to be a bridge, right? I mean, we needed some guy who had been a starter for 3 years, who wasn't going to panic when you put him in front of 80,000 people in Jordan-Hare Stadium or 90,000 in the swamp and could handle him. Hey, look, we may not have a great team. We might go 6-6, but just kind of get us through this so we can get Walker Howard ready for next year or Nussmeier, whoever the case may be. And so he's a very complex topic, Mikey. It's like he led them to so many comebacks. But did he lead them to so many comebacks because he's the reason they fell behind in the first place, because they couldn't score for a while?
Right.
He's the leading rusher on the team. He ran for 800 yards and 11 touchdowns. Is he the leading rusher on the team because he's not staying in the pocket and throwing the ball to the receivers more? And so, I mean, that's just me. I'm sure, I know his parents well. His dad is awesome. If he's watching this, he probably hit me upside the head. But these are what the fans are kind of talking about in terms of Jaden Daniels. But he's obviously very likable. It's like a Joe Burrow situation, right? If Joe Burrow wasn't likable and stepped into a locker room where Miles Brennan had been there for a while, Justin McMillan, Lowell Narcisse. I mean, the whole locker room could have been split. This new hotshot pretty boy from Ohio State thinks he's going to step in here and be the quarterback. Obviously, the first day they start doing sprints, Foster Moreau and all them, he won all the sprints. He did crack jokes. He was serious, and he won over the team. And I think Jaden was similar. Jaden's very likable, smiles. I don't think I've ever really seen him angry, like in a game or off the field. And so he won over that team. So But man, you watch Nussmeier fling that thing around, and it's pretty exciting. So
it's the shiny new car, but you know you park it close to a buggy at the grocery store and you get a scratch. It doesn't look quite as good, and it's a little bit more expensive to keep up, and you know you take the risk with the reward, and so I get it. You see it because he has elite arm talent. He has the ability to do things that there's not a lot of people in college football. Like there's not a lot of people that can do that. But at the same time, can he hone that in? And you know, to me, and we've talked about this. Me and Jared talked about this a lot. There's a reason why he was not the starter coming out of camp, right? There's a reason why Brian Kelly sees stuff at practice that nobody else gets to see. He gets to see stuff happen consistently, and that's what you want from your quarterback is the consistency. And you know, obviously, I didn't know Jaden was going to come back for another year, but I also didn't know he was going to have the type of year that he had. And now that he has, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on next year because Walker is going to be a redshirt freshman. Walker is the guy that's coming in. He's a 5-star quarterback. You know, I think, you know, you don't want him to wait too long and you want him to be able to develop, and the only way you develop is to get reps. And so, I hopefully that doesn't hurt his development as a quarterback. Yeah,
and Nussmeier, I think, like in baseball, you didn't get in the starting lineup, and Coach Manera gave you one DH or something, and you come out and you swing at the first 3 pitches you see and you strike out. I think, when he came in against Southern, he's trying to make too much happen, right? I mean, he's throwing balls he shouldn't throw, and he threw the underhanded thing that Southern took back on the 6 or whatever. And so he was just trying too hard. But that's the thing with him, and I know he's been trying to shake that gunslinger mentality, and I'm not a gunslinger, but SEC championship, he had 2 turnovers. He threw a pick, and he got sacked and fumbled 1. So, but yeah, he's got electric stuff. There's no doubt. I mean, I remember even last year, and LSU controls this stuff. There was no reason why they put it out. They could tell us something different. But I remember before 2021, we get these scrimmage stats, and it was like Max Johnson, 15 out of 22, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns. Garrett Nussmeier, 15 out of 23, 330 yards, 4 touchdowns. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on? And so.
How do you think Max Johnson feels right now?
I don't know. I like Max. I like Brad, his dad, and all that. But and I saw before the A&M game, all those guys went up to him, gave him hugs and stuff. That was a little controversial. Mikey, how do you feel about that? If there's a guy that's on your team and transfers and he's on the opposing sideline before a game, is it all right to go and dap him up and hug and all that before the game?
Yeah, I think it's fine. It just depends on how he exited, right? Like if he exited because he wasn't likable or he wasn't liked by the team and he had a bunch of, he was kind of like a prick, obviously you're not going to go. But if he's a guy that was likable from everyone, he did the things that he did, and, because athletes kind of understand other athletes, and if he thought, hey, like my brother's going over there, I think I have a better opportunity. I don't know what's going to happen with this coaching change. I think that may be – so I have no problem with it, especially if he did it the right way behind the scenes, which I obviously don't know. But it's going to be he's not going to be the starter next year.
One funny thing too, real quick, I'm sorry, but about scrimmages, Christian Lockett should tell me about scrimmages, okay? So he said they had a practice one day, they're like, man, we sacked Brandon Harris like 5 times. Fournette didn't get anything. We had a great day defensively. My mom called and said, so how was the scrimmage? He said, Mom, we did awesome. Well, that's not what I'm reading at LSUsports.net, where, it said, LSU threw for 250. They rushed for 250. Just made up stuff thrown up on a.
Yeah, because you don't know. It's not official stats. You can say whatever you want. Oh, he had a 102-yard kickoff return. They don't even kick off during these scrimmages. So I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? But you're in Orlando, obviously. I appreciate all your time. I know it's a little later. It's, 8:20 over there. You're on Eastern time.
I'm not old, Mikey. I'm not falling asleep.
Hey, you had a long day. You're about to have a long night, apparently, because I'm glad we were able to break some news to you on the show. This is great. This is perfect timing.
I'm glad I had 1 beer and not 3 at dinner because I got some more wine.
Had to roll that camera out.
I think the show may have been better if you had 3. You could have maybe something else would have happened.
Oh!
Yeah. Hey, there we go.
Is that thing warm?
There we go.
It's a big old bust.
I'm actually holding up my phone here to do the Mikie Mahtook podcast.
I appreciate you coming on. I'm not going to keep you for much longer. I have one last question. It's nothing to do with football, nothing to do with anything. You're in Orlando. The weather's great. What are you doing? Is it all business, all work? Or are you able to go out there and enjoy yourself? Maybe go to the parks. Maybe go drink around the world at Epcot if you want to do that. Maybe you'll be following the team around there. I don't know. What's on the agenda and the personal side?
Well, Mikey, man, we have a half-hour live special we got to do Friday that I'm doing 4 of the 5 features on, and then I'm by myself here. I'm not complaining. I got the best job in the world. But I got a lot of features. But the thing is, I do want to get out and about. Like even if you walk around, Mikey, the restaurants are brand new, the palm tree. No matter where you walk, you feel like you're on vacation. The weather's great, but not that Disney is ever slow. But this is the worst time of year as far as the crowds, Christmas,
New Year's Eve.
You got in the elevator, you hear 2 or 3 different languages on the elevator alone. You got people coming in from all different countries. But no, I'd like to check some stuff out before the weekend.
Well, I hope you get to do it.
Yeah. You got any experience?
I do actually. When I was in Lakeland, I lived in Orlando. So I lived in Reunion, Florida, which is right outside of. I was probably my place I lived was probably 10 miles from the parks, and so I would go to Epcot's the adult version of Disney World. You have drinks from different countries and their foods and do that kind of stuff. So we would go do that and hang out. And they have a legit fireworks show though. If you want to go out there and have a few drinks, it's a pretty cool deal over there. So that's, I'm not gonna say, hey, go ride the Tower of Terror or anything like that, but if you wanted to go and hang out, that's the spot to be.
I remember I had a teacher in high school. He became a state representative by the name of Sammy Terrio from Abbeville. And one day when he was giving us a talk in class about the real world and, you better get your act together and blah, 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 he talked about Disney. He said, there's a reason why people go to Disney, all right? It's a dream. It's not real, It's make-believe. The real world is not. But there's no doubt when you go there. I remember going as a kid, just seeing Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and the fireworks and all that stuff, and it's almost impossible to be in a bad mood, right?
Absolutely.
There's no way you can.
Absolutely. Well, look, I hope that this work the news tonight's not too much work for you, and I hope you get to enjoy yourself. I appreciate you taking your time and coming on our show and giving us some content and helping us go through with this breaking news because this is great. And you always do a great job, man. So I really do appreciate it.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what, man. The reason I'm a sportscaster, so I can hang out with Jared Mitchell and Mikie Mahtook. There's no other way. Here's a guy who set for Millions basketball team. I had 0 athletic ability. So.
I appreciate it. We appreciate it. We're definitely gonna have you back on because this is great. You understand the show. You get the vibe. I appreciate it. Enjoy Florida, enjoy the weather, and hopefully the Tigers pull one out for us.
Absolutely. Anytime. Happy to come on. So happy New Year.
Appreciate it. Happy New Year.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. I wish I had a drink to cheers back with you, but no, I got water. I'll cheers to water.
Oh,
that's it.
Lame.
You gonna hang him up or what?
Yeah, of course. Back to you. I want to see his hand. Man, boozing. Oh, he's chugging.
I'm glad we got to break the news with him.
God, he
That's
had
great.
no clue. You see
it literally just happened.
Did you see his face when you told him though?
He was
like,
what happened?
Huh?
He
was so
that.
confused.
And then you also have, he stole the call. I can see you, JD. He just hung up. But then you have Brian Kelly, who also just tweeted that says, Jesus Christ. We support Kayshon, his decision. He went through a thoughtful process and ultimately decided that this was his best interest. We should appreciate him and wish him well. He basically kicked him off the screen.
What else have you been hearing? What else have you been seeing from the shockwaves over there? I know you've been seeing.
Oh my God! Tiger Droppings is making so much money right now. It's unbelievable. He's
I can only imagine Tiger Droppings.
Yeah, 5-page stud on Kayshon.
It happened 2 minutes ago.
Brian Kelly's tweet on Kayshon. Aaron Anderson is about to eat. Does Xavier Thomas going to look? Jack Best chimes in. This couldn't be more of it's kind of like a shit show on the LSU end where you're
I tell you what, dude, for someone like Besh, whether anyone wants to say it or not, dude, it was
That
having
decision impacted
Kayshon
him.
back in the room was an obvious impact on his decision to leave.
You'd
And so
imagine,
for this to
yeah.
no, 100% was.
Right,
That's one more
right.
man that you knew
Right,
were
of
going
course.
to take snaps from you. So for his decision to happen and then this to happen less than a week later after you already said you're coming back is so unfortunate for someone like him. Like I feel bad for him in that
He
situation.
can come back.
No,
It
No.
doesn't, but it still doesn't matter. Like that's very. I
he
feel
ain't.
bad for him.
He ain't coming back. Like you can't announce
done is
your
done,
commitment to TCU now and say, "Oh, never mind."
Kayshon announces a commitment.
Yeah, but
to-
that's different. That's like you're going back to school or going pro. You're not going to another team in college. Like no,
LSU would
and
take
he's
him
not.
back with
and he
open
doesn't-
arms.
He doesn't want to come back. No way.
He probably got treated like shit if
He's made his decision. That's where he wants to be.
If he's tweeting out laughing emojis, like you can tell that they're definitely tied together. Like you said, Jared, like his decision to leave was probably paramount and based on Kayshon coming back, and now he's like, I knew
Well,
it.
I wouldn't even go as far
like
as to
he's
say
the-
based on, but like you said, like there's still going to be a lot of those. They're returning all the starters. You brought in is there 2 5-star receivers coming, or one for sure?
Two
5-star
you have
receivers
Brown
coming.
and your guy from Catholic High.
Catholic, right? So you got
Samson,
two,
and then
you got 2
well,
5-star
3
receivers
with Aaron Anderson.
And then you got
the
so
transfer.
you got 3 5-star receivers coming. All the starters are back. You got the supposed to be first rounder coming back for another year. That 100% partly had to do with him saying, "Hey, all right, I'm out. Writing's on the wall for me.
Yeah.
It's everything I need to know." And then a week later, this happens.
And let's not discredit Malik. Like he's a leading receiver. Like he was.
Well, that's why I said all
yeah,
their starters are
Right,
back. Like,
right.
literally,
Yeah,
all
he
the starters
was
are
the
back.
leading
Yeah.
receiver coming back. Like that's a big return, right? It's his 3rd year. He's gonna have.
If you literally just X out the entire recruiting class and the portal, they literally returned every single starter. So if that's the writing on the wall, and you're telling me, well, this is how much I played with them this year,
Before Kayshon announced.
right?
So, yeah.
Right. Well, this is how much I played with them this year. Why would it be any different when there's
Yeah.
3 5-stars coming here next year?
Right.
So all right, I'm a bounce, and then a week later this happens. It's tough.
I also think his reaction is probably very telling of the feeling in the room about Kay. Like it's like he's not even surprised
I think,
by
and,
this.
And
so,
that
so
could
to
be-
your
yeah.
point too, like you spoke earlier about like guys having like there is questions they get and guys having to speak about them. I do think there is guys that kind of looked at it like you said, like we got to you have a and I hate speaking about the situation because there is no lightness about that situation.
Right.
But you have a kid on Wednesday or Thursday. What was it? Wednesday or Thursday?
Something like that. Like
And then you
Wednesday, I
don't
think.
play on a Saturday. Like you got to imagine those guys not only in the receiver room but around the team kind of be like, yo, what's good? Like
Yeah.
what you got? You here or you not here?
Yeah, are you in or not?
in or you out?
Yeah.
Are you gonna be here or you not? Because like somebody like Jack Best who might be standing on the side saying, man, I'm losing reps. Because this guy's in and out. He's here, he's not. He wants to be here, then some days he's not. And they don't really know what's going on there.
And it felt like they were doing a lot of things as a staff to keep him happy.
They did.
And
Not feel
that,
like they
that
did.
goes away from what Brian Kelly believes in.
It goes away from doing what I mean. I was here, and look, this is another side of it. But like I was here when Maneri came in and had to basically clean house and make the roster and things the way he wanted. There was no real like pleasing people that were here. It was either I'm gonna break you or I'm gonna make you kind of
Right.
thing, and it doesn't feel like Kayshon got that treatment.
Yeah.
Right? And so for the rest of the room, it sours things, right? Because if that guy's not bought all the way in and he's not getting that kind of treatment, in a way, you're like, it's tough, right? And like I understand, I'm really part of the book of everybody's going to get treated fairly, but everyone's not treated equally. His talent is superior,
Yeah.
but the numbers are what the numbers are.
Yep.
So if the talent's here and the numbers were not
And
there,
the drive is not there.
seems like they didn't equal. So that getting treated better didn't bode success, if you will. And I think that's what makes it hard when the room had to look
Right.
at how that situation has turned out and gone.
What a drama! What a crazy! What are you on the boards right now? Are
Yeah,
you
of course.
Are you on the dark web trying to figure out what's happening? What?
I don't think there's anything to even figure out. Like I think it's very obvious what happened, and he doesn't want to do like he was probably told it's too much. Like he was told what he was required to come back, and he's like, "Fuck that! I'm not doing it. I'm going to the NFL." I mean, that's just it doesn't seem hard to like put the puzzle pieces together, and it feels like a weight off your shoulders a little bit with Kayshon leaving.
The exhale, right? It's like, okay.
It's just done with like that. For somebody that didn't talk a lot, so much drama around him, and it's just okay, fine, man. Like I appreciate what you did for LSU. You played well in a time when it was tough to be an LSU Tiger, and you were the bright spot on the team. But then it just became this like cavalcade of errors. Everything that surrounded you was never good, and it's just like, all right, you're probably not great for the team. So good luck in the NFL. Like I appreciate what you did, but I mean, good Lord. Get your life. Like he's got to get his like. This is such a bad look.
But
for him
you know what's crazy?
in the
We
draft.
say that that's what it is, and
I just want what's good for him.
I'm not. Yeah, and I'm not. I don't know. We don't know. But there is a tweet from the school president that says, "We'll never forget your excitement about an outstanding academic semester. This is my highlight. Best wishes to you in the pros, and come back home to get your degree." So he almost makes it sound like he had a great semester. Like this thing is crazy.
So maybe it didn't have academic. Maybe it was.
Like I said, we don't know. I don't know.
We don't know. This is all speculation.
This tweet came from the university president. So there you go.
Well, probably because they want to cover up for the fact that he was probably in.
I'm not going to speculate. I'm going to leave it out there like as it is. Like it's crazy where it is. That's all I'm saying. I've never, like you said earlier, I've never seen anything like this.
Not in college.
No.
Like
never seen
this
anything
is
like
crazy. Would you like? This is crazier than Tyrann Mathieu.
From how? Oh yeah, by far.
Oh yeah. Because it wasn't. Tyrann just kept messing up at the time, right? It wasn't like he was like
a problem.
Kayshon hadn't done anything to where he got kicked off the team or did anything. Like Kayshon's making these decisions himself. Like, hey, I'm not coming back. I am coming back. I'm not coming back. Just joking. Like I'm gonna transfer.
I'm not gonna transfer.
Jacques did a very good job of going back in time and giving you the timeline of the drama because it felt like back then he was everything but 2 feet out the door. Right, and you forget about that because there's so much in-season drama of, oh man, why is he not playing? Well, he had a baby, but he had a baby a few days before the game. Why is he not playing? Okay, he doesn't play. He's not getting the ball. Now he's getting the ball. Brian Kelly comes out and says some stuff in the interviews. Then he hugs him on the field. Then he doesn't play because he's sick. And he doesn't.
You remember the time I brought up times where it was like they came out of the halftime. It's 3 wide. They throw pass play on first down, and he's standing on the sideline. You're like, well, how's it? Why?
Right.
Why is he there?
And then he goes and he plays in the SC Championship game, and he has the big play. Then he announces he's leaving. Then he announces he's coming back. I mean,
I've never seen anything like it in college football.
It's crazy.
That simple.
And if you're, like I was asking Jacques a little bit, if you're an NFL scout, you're just like, this is not a good look at all. Like this.
Let me ask you this question, and like I said,
does he even go to LSU Pro Day?
Yeah, let me ask you this question, and I'm not even basing it off of talent and or
potential.
Could you right now, from what you know, outside of obviously a stellar combine and or pro day, could you right now spend a first round draft pick?
Hell no.
Would you if you're in those shoes?
No.
He's
gonna go in the 4th. Somebody's going to take a
shot.
chance on him because he probably, if he can keep himself in shape and go have a pro day, he'll put up numbers. And
I don't know if to keep himself. I think that's unfair. We put on him right there. Like
that's part of the problem with K is that
the rehab was.
The rehab
was.
He did it
Listen,
to himself.
I'm gonna tell you.
And then admitted it.
No. I'm gonna tell you this. The rehab was. He can tell you, like I can tell you, guys do different things when it comes to being their money time. And whether he did what he needed to do or not to get himself ready to play on the field. If he's gonna leave right now, I personally don't think I find it hard to believe you'll see a bad performance in his pro day and or combine.
He's gonna have a good performance,
right? Because I think he understands like this is no longer rehab. This no longer quote unquote it hurts in a sense of like injury. It's money day.
Yep.
Like, and I think guys perform differently when it becomes that's a real thing.
Like he has this is his bowl game. Like,
And
I have to go out
and
there
I'll tell you this too.
perform.
Like this is a new dynamic to me when it comes to it is. So like this is this next money day, right? Like part of me wonders how comfortable and how complacent could he have been because of what is today in NIL deals. And in his mind, I got money right now. I'm good until the next time I need to make a decision for money. I wonder how much that went into his mindset throughout the year. It's interesting, man. I've never seen anything like this in college. Really haven't. I've literally never seen anything like it.
It's almost hard to trust him to even get ready for a pro day. Like he needs to get somebody to help him kind of manage his time.
Himself.
Yeah, he needs an agent that's really going to help him.
Well, I mean, he's got an agent. I mean, it has to have an agent.
That's what I'm saying. But he just needs to make sure that it's somebody that can, like, you're going to have to almost put somebody in his back pocket and be like, hey, you need to get ready. Like, you have to treat him like a kid.
Any babysitter.
Yes. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but a lot of guys got that.
Yeah, I know, but it's never played out like this. Like, that just is weird to me.
I mean, look, best of luck to Kayshon.
That's what I'm saying.
By far, too. And I hope he
I'm
does
not mad
everything
at
he
it.
needs to do and gets it done. Like, 100%. It has been a weird climax of a year and a weird exit for him. It's never
been a
really
weird
seen
year.
From how his career started to how it ended is not the trajectory that you thought you were going to see from him.
Right.
How his freshman year ended, how his sophomore year started, and then he got hurt, and then
that basically was a whole year.
That was the beginning of the end when he fucked his foot up. God, what a wild time. But with that being said, they are playing Purdue in Orlando in a bowl game that matters to a lot of the guys on the team. And I think part of it, these guys are leaving. I think a lot of this is going to matter the future of these guys. Like, they're getting an opportunity to play. So a lot of the guys that are going to play on the defensive line, a lot of the guys that are going to, maybe slot into like the Kayshon position, or another guy who was, maybe the fourth guy. Now he's the third guy in the receiver group. These guys are hungry because they haven't been able to get a lot of opportunity on the field during the beginning of the season or during the season. Now they have an opportunity to go out there, play on national TV, play against Purdue, who also lost their two best players. They are not playing in the draft. They're not playing in the game. They entered the draft, so that they're at a disadvantage as well. So it's gonna be nice to see some new faces and see what they can do, and hopefully.
Well, you got to update that ticker.
Give you technically it's not wrong.
It's not wrong, but there's more. There's more layers to it now.
Yeah,
he will not
be
in the
back
bowl
at
game.
all. But it was funny to look at the poll. I put a poll up an hour ago. Like, will Kayshon come back for his senior year? And it went from like 65% yes to now it's 53% no. It's like, well, now we know the answer.
It should be
but-
100% no. Like,
Yeah,
no.
that's what I'm
100%
saying.
no.
No, I guess you can't change your vote, but it's just funny to be like, oh, why would he? That didn't feel like he was leaving.
No, it didn't. I mean, just
wild.
I wonder if he had a conversation with Brian Kelly and said, I am coming back. Even though I can't play in the game or whatever, I am coming back. And then just did this without telling anybody.
No, I mean, BK did the only thing you can do, right? Like, he's not going to bash him on Twitter.
No, for sure. He did the
like,
right thing. But what I'm saying is, like, because BK didn't say anything other than he basically just paraphrased Kayshon's tweet.
Yeah.
That's all he did.
Because, you're not, like you said, you're not
He
going
put
to,
some thought
a coach is
into
going to throw
this.
him under the bus, but it's just.
Oh, right. And that's what Brian Kelly shouldn't. But, like, my thing
I
is,
do
like,
wonder if this was a shock to him. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Right.
I doubt that happened. I
Me
feel
too.
like
Me
if
too,
that
but-
happened, that wouldn't be good. That's not a good look for him.
There's going to be a lot of conversations around the LSU building as to, for his, like, you're going to have some scouts sniffing around being like, all right, what was this experience like?
Sniffing? Oh, they taking full wolves to this.
Yeah, bro.
What you mean? Like,
They-
inject this into my nose. I need to know what, like, they are going to just
I'm going to have to go hedge my
absolutely, yeah.
bet.
I mean, they're going to find out everything about
Actually,
it
no,
when
that's
this-
not going to affect.
No,
that's not going to affect the line
no,
much.
No.
What?
The line's
the
14
game?
and a half.
Oh.
I got it at 7.
Yeah, I know. You got it before. No, I didn't.
Hit a 17 parlay over the weekend, too.
Good for you.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy for you.
7-teamer?
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
Teased the fuck out of it, didn't
No. It was all money line. So
NFL?
you? What was the odds? What the odds get to?
NFL.
Mm-hmm.
All money line.
Mm-hmm.
Boy,
Was
that's impressive.
were there any upsets? I guess the Saints were an upset.
I haven't looked at it in a while. I did put in a bet for LSU basketball just because the line stinks.
What is it?
For LSU's catching 4.5, which they should be getting points, but they should be getting 10.
Yeah.
And so
Well, they have two of their best players out. That's why.
right. Well, yeah.
And it's
but
a home
still,
game.
I know. I don't think the home court experience matters at LSU right now. It's not.
No, but I mean, it's still home. You know, I mean, you're still
But
playing.
it just
at
feels
home.
like
You don't have to
Vegas knows
travel.
more than I do. Like if I was an Arkansas fan, I'd be like, "Damn, I'm gonna hop all over this." But it feels like a rat line. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
which
take
I'm
LSU.
excited. I am excited to watch them play tonight. Like I love basketball. I love watching basketball. The Pels are exciting. The Saint. I mean, I'm reading the ticker. The LSU is 11-1. 12 was it 11-1 or 12-1?
12-1, I think.
And you know they really haven't had a ton of competition, but they're still 12-1. They're still winning the games. They haven't been as impressive winning those games, but you get a tough test at home against the Arkansas team that we're gonna see if they rise up. You know, I mean, we're gonna see if they elevate their game and they play well and they're able to hold on to leads because you know they've been They had a couple big comebacks, but majority of the time they've been up and giving away some of the lead to make the games a little closer than they have been.
Damn, we got somebody in the chat, Graham Kelly, shout out. He said, my friend's sister is real close with Jack, and texted him about why he put the laughing faces, and he said, if Kayshon would have said that earlier, it could have changed a lot of things for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, we knew that, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're definitely, that all of this information is tethered together. It's crazy. Because you would rather have, you'd like to have Jack on the team, and he'd like to be here, but now, like you said, he's not going to go back on his word.
I wouldn't imagine. Imagine not.
Do you think somebody makes a phone call to him just to see?
I don't think so.
It would be dumb by LSU not to, right?
I don't think so. I think it's just.
And I don't mean this in any bad way, as if like he doesn't fit or doesn't belong or any of that. But it's at the end of the day, is your receiver room is still going to be plentiful.
Yeah, and
you
don't want.
There's still a lot of experience in there, so like it's
And you don't want to add any extra drama or any extra storylines to this crazy.
You don't want to take away from what the game and the team is.
Like, hey, okay, Jack decides he's coming back. Now the questions are going to be, well, okay, you decided. Now, obviously, you're coming back. Like, what would change? Now it's about that. It's not about the other guys on the team. And, I'm not saying that Jack's not going to – he's going to do what's best for him. And I still think where he's at is what's best for him.
Right.
Shit, I don't know, man. Maybe they knew this was going to happen. And that's why Derek Davis is going there. Just an extra body, maybe he's going to be a receiver now. Who knows?
I don't know.
I mean, he's obviously super athletic,
if he's playing multiple positions already.
Yeah.
I think that's more with a John.
I think Kyron Lacey comes back now. I think that he comes back for that extra year to help with experience.
But the multiple positions with him, too, kind of also has a little bit to do with the multiple coaching regimes as well. Yeah. They may see him differently.
Yeah, but the way Brian Kelly talked about him seemed like he wants him to be, if he's going to be at LSU, he would be in the running back room.
Right.
Like, I wish we'd have made the move earlier.
I think he likes him that way, right? Like, that's kind of, like Mo Claiborne came out as a wide receiver, and he ends up as a cornerback. And, some coaches see things differently, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, hopefully he's good. I mean, he took his name out the portal. He's playing. So, I don't know. I'm still blown away. I love getting stuff on the show. I like live reaction of.
That's the biggest bomb we've had on the show of all news we've ever gotten here on the show.
Yeah.
Even bigger than him saying he was staying.
Hopefully the next bomb is like we're on the show and Sean says I'm coming back to New Orleans and I'm bringing Tom with me, or he's not going to say he's going to sign Lamar, but if I will say this. And I'm not a big beat my chest, look what I said type of guy. I told you so guy. If Sean Payton comes back to New Orleans and he signs Lamar Jackson in free agency, I am blasting the clip of me predicting that 4 months ago, all over the place, all over it. Yeah, can't guard Mike. He wants him.
I thought he hated him.
I never thought that it was Sean. I just thought that there was just, I don't know.
I don't think you're wrong. I think what Mike Thomas has finally come to the realization of is like, damn, I remember when it was Drew and when it was Sean, I was on top of the world. And I ain't been on top of the world since it hasn't been that.
Right.
So maybe they weren't not as wrong as maybe I thought they were after I, maybe I think there's probably some of that going on in there in his mind.
I hope so. Man.
Wow.
Okay. Well, the game's on Monday, which Monday is I think it's an observed day off, I believe, because New Year's, like same thing with like Christmas, how Christmas, most people are off of work on this Monday because of Christmas, fell on Sunday. I think it works the same for New Year's. Which is great.
We'll be doing a watch party.
Which is great because the game's at noon, so you're right in the middle of your work day.
Watch party.
Yes, y'all are doing a watch party.
So not everybody's off work.
Yeah, but you're watching the game though. Like if I was working, I would be watching the game. You know what I mean? You heard me?
You heard me?
All right. Well, great show. We had great interviews. We had a lot of stuff going on. I'm still a little mind blown at the news. Here's what I want to ask. And this is changing topics a little bit, going to NFL because we have a few minutes left before we get to the segments. Is Tua's brain spaghetti and meatballs right now? Like, is it just like scrambled eggs up there?
He can't
I
be
mean,
it
dude,
again.
like he gets
Who's their backup?
knocked out, and then Mike McDaniel's going to start catching a lot of heat from him playing twice under the circumstances of a concussion. But Tua didn't get knocked out; he didn't lose consciousness, and it's up to Tua at that point. If he felt he had a concussion, to go and tell someone. If he didn't, that's not on Mike. That's not Mike McDaniel's fault. He doesn't know. You know, he didn't
That's
know.
what I'm saying. The head coach can't catch any blame, but he has been for the first time it happened. Whenever he was
Yeah, but he said it was his back, right? That was the thing.
Yeah, and he was obviously stumbling around. So Mike McDaniels did catch flack, but he's like, I can only go off the information I'm given from the training staff. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how to evaluate if somebody has a concussion or not. But Tua just gets he's like a toddler. He like gets slung around and he just hits the ground.
Well, he puts himself in a position like Jared said,
Joe
he tries
Burrow
to keep
takes
the play,
hits, but
yeah, but he tries to keep the play alive. Tua tries to keep the play alive, and he's throwing the ball with people around his ankles. So like when you're in this position, you have no way of protecting
And
yourself.
he's already not a very big dude. Like I don't know if you even think back to the hip injury he had in college. Man, that's a very like blunt force, like traumatic injury. That's hard to do. And the body position that he had gotten in that situation is like, man, you don't really see that happen much. And I think a lot of the same thing is kind of still there when it comes to watching him play pro ball. Like he keeps putting himself in positions to where he's taking hits maybe he shouldn't be taking. He shouldn't have to take at this point.
Speaking of taking hits, this guy is
did he do
Lloyd's favorite
Did he
player.
do the hands again?
No.
Huh?
No.
That's an old one. Okay.
No, he didn't get knocked out.
Yeah.
Like he didn't lose consciousness, or at least didn't. You couldn't
obvious.
tell.
Yeah.
Your favorite player in the NFL, the guy who you feel like is very genuine, which I think he is genuine. You don't like it. J.J. Watt retires. He announced his retirement in a very weird way.
That's a perfect example.
But in a non-J.J. Watt way, he did it like very subtly and like not like trying to ask for the attention, but maybe it was for asking for attention.
Yeah, that was so passive aggressive.
He's like hot and cold when it comes to me. Like I do like him, but then
Because I do think he's genuine.
but then when I see some of the stuff that he's done like in his past, like
Nobody cares
the
about your
stuff
kid,
that he
dude.
did on like Hard Knocks and stuff like that, I'm just like, man, it just kind of
And
throws me off. But I do like him as a dude. Like,
Right, and I think like part of the stuff that I don't like about LeBron, when LeBron comes out and says, "Oh, I rolled my ankle and I thought it was gonna be the end of my career. Like I got poked in the eye and I had to make that shot with one eye, and like basically everybody knows you're really good at what you do and like the best in the game. There's no need to add this extra.
If I'm gonna be honest with you, I think LeBron does a lot of that stuff simply so he can get calls. Because I think he doesn't
for sure,
get calls.
I get that part, but like it comes off.
I know,
when you
but
say,
I'm
like,
just telling you, I think when he does that, I think he's speaking more to referees than he
Right.
is to the people and or the whoever's
Right.
interviewing.
And so like when JJ says like, "Oh, I played through at this, at the bicep had this," and I was like, "Well, yeah, like, yeah."
No,
you
I'm
have-
cool with that with JJ.
You know, so
that
it's
doesn't,
like
that doesn't even
whatever,
bother
but-
me. Yeah.
Staying on the NFL topics, and we're running through these pretty quick because we're running out of time. The Commanders, our guy Taylor Heineke, like felt like he had won the locker room over. He was gonna be the guy. Ron Rivera liked him. It was gonna be this thing, right? Like he had this whole like everybody's out on Carson Wentz. He hasn't done anything. Well, now the Commanders announced Carson Wentz as their starting quarterback for the most crucial 2-game stretch of the year. Right, this is to make or break their season. Carson Wentz hasn't played in 2-3 months, and
Played last year. I mean, last week. Like they brought him back in, like you're saying. Like Heineke has. I guess you take the good with the bad, and if Heineke's going to give you the bad,
right.
Let's see if there's a better version of.
I think this
Wentz.
is why Ron Rivera got his nickname.
Yeah,
Riverboat
yeah.
Ron. I think
Riverboat
he's
Ron.
literally just like, hey, this is what he does at these points.
Well, look, Carson Wentz he has 9 lives, dude. It's like, hey, that 1 year you had as a rookie before you got hurt is the thing that
And he'll
gonna
play,
win the MVP.
and he'll mess around and play like 2 good games to where everybody's
watch.
like,
He's gonna get him into the playoffs.
to where everybody's like, man, he looks good.
Yep, he's gonna
He'll
get him
be our
into the
quarterback
playoffs. And he
next
may
year.
even play a really good game in the playoffs, and they may lose. And he's like, oh, someone's gonna go out and sign Carson Wentz. So they're gonna trade for him. It's just, I don't know. It's wild. All right, let's get to the seggies.
Which one do you want first?
You know.
So, do you want to do the? Yeah, let's do the not my fault. I guess we're at the end of the road. I
reign of-
think for
yes.
the not my fault, which is brought to you by Doe's Eat Place, and we're gonna have a lot more Doe's signage coming up soon. It's just
Different avenue.
yep. Go ahead.
It's unfortunate because I mean, what a story we have today.
Well,
It's a Japanese man pays nearly $16,000 for a life-size dog costume to fulfill his dream.
so that's him.
Transform. Yes.
This is a human.
Uh-huh.
Man, get this out.
And he said, "I'm nervous that people are going to think I'm weird."
You
Huh.
think?
Oh, well, I mean,
Well, at least he's somewhat aware.
you know that. I mean, you should be nervous. I guess. I mean, it's gonna happen. Like,
He's somewhat aware. Yeah, we'll give him that.
if you're nervous, don't do it. If you think that's what's gonna happen, that's probably gonna happen. Wow, that's wild. That's him.
No, that's just a dog.
Oh,
Let's say what? He can do that?
Oh no, that is him.
How did his legs get so short and arms?
oh my
I'm
gosh.
so I'm so
Is that
thrown
really
off by
him?
this.
That's him in that costume.
That's a big
Wow.
dog.
He's a good dog, actually. I mean, that's a pretty good dog.
That's embarrassing. All right.
So is it his fault?
I mean, that is his fault. 1,000,000% his fault.
If that's what his worry is, yeah, that's 100% his fault.
So is he like just at his house, and he's like, "Oh, I'm getting in the dog costume."
Yeah, I don't really want to go down the
Yeah, we're not
road
going
of
down
where
that road.
how that thought came
No.
about. I'm gonna leave that alone.
All right, we're gonna go.
called doggy
We're
style.
gonna do the curtain calls. Curtain calls are brought to you by Assured Partners. Frankie Harris at Assured Partners. Go ahead. What's your curtain call, Lloyd?
I got a couple choices, but I think the best one, as we have some news of what has happened.
First team all SEC after the play fake, the slant, the catch, and the touchdown.
Anniversary, 3-year anniversary of him absolutely torching Oklahoma, and just be like, damn, they were the best team in the country, maybe the best football team ever, and he is just dicing up Oklahoma. Got Lincoln Riley essentially made him quit. There you go.
There it is.
Love that. Good times. Good times.
My curtain call is, well, I wish we would have, in a way, I wish we would have known that Kayshon was coming out with this news. Maybe we would have put together a little clipping of him and, happy trails.
Yeah.
Because he did have some great moments.
So that's your. You changed it.
No, I didn't change it. I'm just saying happy trails in a sense of
Good
go
luck.
do your thing, good luck, Godspeed, health, all willing. I hope he does great. But my curtain call would be to,
Somebody that's not going to draft him.
I find it hard to believe that this guy would draft him, especially early, but my curtain call would be to Mike Tomlin. Somehow, in the midst of what seems like they've been awful this year, there's a clip here of them before the game this week, which was the Franco Harris game, which was unbelievably uncomfortable conditions. There's nobody in the stands. They're 6-8. They seem to be just left for dead at this point. And you listen to this man talk, and you understand why that guy's never had a losing season as a head coach.
And then watch the reaction.
And you watch the reaction on the sideline. You watch the reaction of the players. And they're sitting here with the Jackson-less Ravens. They're about to play this week. They're sitting here with the Browns to end the season. And I wouldn't be surprised, wouldn't be too shocked if they somehow get to 9-8, winning season, and somehow slip into the playoffs.
And him still not having.
A losing season ever. Wouldn't be surprised. So my curtain call is to Mike Tomlin.
And I think it's a great curtain call, and I'm not arguing, but I would go opposite of you saying I don't think that he will draft him. I think if there is a coach in the NFL that could draft him and make him into a spot, I think it is Mike Tomlin. You saw what he did with, Le'Veon Bell was there for a minute before he started.
The only problem with that
having
is
some
that all
drama.
those guys seem to be straighter before they actually
Antonio
got there.
Brown, right.
That's the only difference.
Right. So I don't know. We'll see. But Tomlin he's the go.
He
All
would
right.
be the guy that could deal with it.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm sure he wants to deal.
Exactly.
What could be it? You never know.
My curtain call is down the basketball avenue. And if you haven't paid attention or you don't like NBA basketball, that's fine. But this guy is electric to watch. He's only 23 years old. I think he's the top 3 player in the NBA right now. Definitely top 5 in the NBA, right? And he's only 23. He dropped, his name is Luka Doncic. He plays for the Dallas Mavericks, which isn't far from Louisiana, so you get to see him a little bit more on TV. He dropped a 60 burger, so 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists, first player in the history of the NBA. The association has been around for a really long time. And he's the first guy to do that since these numbers were recorded, right? And the video that I posted, can you play the video, Lloyd? Of the video that I have on the thing? Just the joy, like the way he plays basketball is
Oh, you got World Wide Wop. He actually follows me on Twitter. I don't know why.
the way he plays. I just looked on Twitter for a video.
I was going to say, this is not in there.
Yeah. But the way he plays and the way he acts on the basketball court is refreshing to see. It's like fun, energetic, childlike. He's obviously very elite. So obviously he misses it. What you don't see in this is they were down 9. You never seen this? You didn't see this? It's awesome. It's awesome. They were down 9 points with like 30-something seconds left in the game and won.
Yeah,
Tied the game.
I saw that like the overall record
200-something and nothing, 0.
It was like almost that. I think it like
Maybe
in
more
the
than
thousands.
that. Yeah, maybe more than that.
Of people, like the only person that's ever done anything close to this was.
Reggie
do you
Miller.
remember Tracy McGrady?
Oh, Tracy McGrady, T-Mac did it too.
Mm-hmm, he scored like 9 points in 13 seconds.
That was Reggie Miller did that.
Yeah, I think they.
Well, maybe they both did it.
Yeah,
I know
that's
Reggie did it in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, Reggie hit him with the choke.
Choke.
Who's my guy on the sideline? Lee, Knicks fan.
Oh, Spike Lee.
Spike Lee. I was gonna say Skip Lee, so I didn't finish it.
That's not it.
Good show.
Great show today, boys. We had a good
Kayshon.
one. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We had 2 good guests. We had a lot of Saints conversation. We had a lot of LSU conversation. There's going to be a lot more LSU conversation throughout the course of the week, wherever you consume your content, because the Kayshon Boutte news is not going away.
Got to talk about it again tomorrow.
FM Digital Media is going to have all of the coverage on that. They're going to have all of the content that you need. So tune in to the Jordy Collada Show tomorrow morning, because I'm sure that Jordy has his takes on it, and he's going to talk about it, and he's going to have people come on the show to talk about it.
You might get Kay on.
Maybe get Kayshon on. That would be a great interview. I mean, that would blow up, obviously.
Yeah.
We should get it now. Hey, Kayshon, why don't you just get on here live?
What did happen to... Did
We
you
got
just
a
throw
lot
up?
going on. I don't know what's going on. But hope you enjoy the rest of your week. We are not having a show on Friday again this week. We're ending the year with, like I said, transitionally.
We got a wedding to go to.
And we have a wedding to go to. Jordy is getting hitched, and we're going to be there. So no show this weekend. We will have a conversation on Monday. We'll probably have a show on Monday night and recap the game, I would imagine.
I know a watch party.
I know everybody's not going to be working. So appreciate y'all. Like and subscribe. The subscribe now is on the screen. Go ahead and click that subscribe button, which is on the bottom left or the bottom right of the screen.
Right.
The bottom right of the screen. We appreciate it. The more subscribers, the better the content gets. And we appreciate all your support. Catch us on, if you can't listen to us or you can't watch us, go ahead and listen to us in the car. I do that a lot. We're on all anywhere you get a podcast, you get a podcast. What did you just give them? Oh, that's not okay. Go ahead and just enjoy the shows. We love you. We appreciate you. You're watching Mik'd Up, and we will be back again on Monday. We will have content across all of our channels throughout the rest of the week, but our show will be live again Monday from studio. Enjoy your Wednesday. Watch LSU hopefully upset the number 9 team in the country on the basketball court at home. And good night.
Let's ride.
No, don't do that.